Carl Sagan's The Demon-Haunted World. It's really not just a book about science, is it? It's more like a survival guide for your mind. So today, we're going to dive into his timeless warning about the battle between critical thinking and all those alluring whispers of pseudoscience that, let's be honest, are all around us every single day.
So the whole thing kicks off with a simple car ride. Sagan gets off a plan and his driver, instead of, asking about astronomy or something, is just buzzing with questions. He wants to know about frozen ETs, astrology, channeling, the whole shebang. And this isn't some rare, weird encounter, right? It's a perfect snapshot of how deeply these fascinating, but totally unsupported ideas have just woven themselves into our culture.
And that really gets to the heart of the problem Sagan saw. We are living in a world that is haunted by demons. Now, not literal ones with horns and pitchforks, but the demons of misinformation and superstition. And they're so tempting because they offer easy, comforting answers in a world that's often really complex and uncertain.
But here's the real kicker, the irony that Sagan points out. His driver had probably never even heard about the actual wonders of the universe, things that are, in every single way, more magnificent and awe-inspiring than any fiction you could cook up. I mean, we are literally made of star stuff. How cool is that? That single truth is more poetic than any prophecy could ever be.
So why? Why do we fall for these easy answers? It's really not about being smart or not. As Sagan argues, the vulnerability, it starts right inside our own heads. The very tool we use to understand the world, our brain, is also a master of deception.
At its core, our brain is a pattern recognition machine. For our ancestors, seeing a predator's shape in the rustling grass, well, that was a life-saving skill. So this ability is a huge evolutionary advantage. But it comes with a bug, a pretty critical flaw, actually.
And that flaw is that our pattern matcher is just way too overactive. It's the reason we see the man in the moon, or faces in the clouds, or, and this is a real one, an eggplant that looked uncannily like Richard Nixon. It's not some sign from the great beyond, it's just our brain doing what it does best, and sometimes it does it a little too well.
And you know what pours gasoline on this little fire? One of the most powerful human emotions there is: hope. The idea that we can simply wish for something to be true is incredibly seductive. It's the appeal of the genie in the lamp, right? The magic spell. It's a shortcut that bypasses all the hard work that reality usually demands.
Okay, so if our brains are flawed and we're naturally drawn to wishful thinking, how do we fight back? Well, Sagan's answer isn't to just memorize more facts. It's to adopt a whole new way of thinking. He gives us this practical toolkit for skepticism, what he famously called the baloney detection kit.
And these aren't some complicated academic rules. They're actually pretty simple mental habits. You just have to ask yourself, has anyone else, anywhere, confirmed this? Is there a real debate here based on evidence? Or is it just shouting? Are you willing to be wrong about this? And, the big one, could this claim ever be proven false? If the answer to that is no, well, you're probably not dealing with science.
Now, part of the kit is learning how to spot faulty arguments, these things called logical fallacies. Here's a classic you've probably seen a million times: ad hominem. This is when someone can't attack the evidence, so what do? They attack the person presenting it. It is a huge red flag that their argument is probably pretty weak.
And here's another big one: observational selection. This is basically the foundation of every psychic's entire career. You make a dozen vague predictions, and when one of them kinda sorta comes true, you shout it from the rooftops, and you conveniently forget about the 11 that totally failed. It's all about counting the hits and just ignoring the misses.
Okay, so this is where things get really serious. Sagan takes this from being just a personal toolkit to a civic necessity. He argues that this kind of skeptical thinking isn't just about avoiding UFO cults. It's actually fundamental to preserving a free and democratic society. The stakes are way, way higher than we might think.
And to make this point, he brings in the incredibly powerful words of Frederick Douglass, who understood this from the most brutal personal experience imaginable. To control a population, you first have to darken his moral and mental vision, suppressing critical thought. That has always been the first move of any oppressive power.
Just look at this. The difference is night and day. An unjust society absolutely thrives on thoughtlessness. But a free society? It depends on the exact opposite. It depends on citizens who can think for themselves, who can question authority, and who demand evidence. The habits of science, it turns out, are the habits of liberty.
Thomas Jefferson put it even more bluntly: ignorance and freedom, They simply cannot exist in the same place at the same time. A population that can't tell the difference between what feels good and what's actually true, well, they become, as Sagan warns, a nation of suckers, up for grabs by the next charlatan who saunters along.
So, this brings us to the final and I think the most important takeaway from all of this. This isn't just for scientists and lab coats, this is for all of us. It's about how we navigate our daily lives, how we consume information, and how we participate as citizens in the world.
This is the heart of it all, right here. Science isn't just a big pile of facts you have to memorize for a test. It's a method, it's a process, it's a habit of mind that's all about curiosity and skepticism. It's a candle that every single one of us can light to push back against the darkness of misinformation.
And so Sagan's work leaves us with this really profound and very personal question. The demons of gullibility and unreason, they're always out there, just waiting in the shadows. This scientific way of thinking, it's our best defense. It's our candle. The only question left is, how are you going to use yours?